Okay, welcome to the video. SIG Guy here. This is just going to be a quick video on dead triggers in your 320. I've gotten a lot of messages lately and a lot of people contacting me through the Contact Us page on my website about they got a Custom Works FCU, they did a build, or they got some parts off of Gunbroker, or whatever the case may be. Anyway, they got it all put together, they went to go pull the trigger, and guess what? Didn't work. So this video is going to talk about some of the stuff going on there, so let's get started. So you got a dead trigger. Well, from what I've seen lately, since the Custom Works FCU came out, and more so in the last month or so, people contacted me through the Contact Us page on my website, sigguy.com, or private messages through Facebook's fine, or even through my YouTube. And I also have a phone number that's listed on the website. And just so you guys know, the phone number isn't like I'm going to pick up the phone and talk. I got many jobs that I do every single day, so I don't have time to talk on the phone. Is basically for those people that want to leave a voicemail because they don't feel comfortable typing or texting or whatever the case, and that will respond to you via text or email. So bunch of different ways that people get in touch with me. And then, like I said, most recently is this dead trigger problem. So two possibilities. Every single case, it was one of these two possibilities. One being incompatibility with parts or a bent trigger bar spring. So we'll talk about the incompatibility first. Everybody knows about the voluntary upgrade program through SIG. So the 320 had been out for quite a while before the military adopted it. There was tons of parts out there, tons of pistols still out there being bought that are pre-voluntary upgrade. Okay, it's when people are mixing the pre-voluntary upgrade with the post-upgrade parts, they're having a compatibility issue. So to go into more detail, this is a 250 slide. This is basically where the 320 came from. So for all intents and purposes, let's pretend this is a 320 slide because I don't have any that are not upgraded. So if you look at your 320 slide over here, there'll be either a notch or there won't be a notch. Okay. If there's no notch, if it looks flat just like this over here, and I'm not talking about the weight reduction cavities or your holes for your red dot optics or anything like that, there'll be a V notch, and I'll show you in a second what it looks like here, or there won't be. If there's not a notch there, that is a pre-voluntary upgrade slide. If there is a notch there, it was made post-upgrade or it went through the voluntary upgrade program. Okay. So on this slide here, this is from the first batch of 320s that went to the military. So there's a USGI authentic M17 that went to the 101st Airborne. And then through their testing and stuff like that, they found this drop safety problem. So SIG basically bought all those M17s back, gave them upgraded M17s, performed the upgrade on these, and then sold them to the civilian market. That's how we ended up with them. Okay, so our notch, what we're talking about, is right here. Okay, this little V notch right in your slide, right next to where your striker would be coming through. Okay, so when you have a slide and it's got a notch in it and it's silver like mine, like the stainless color, that's because this is a pre-voluntary upgrade slide that went through the program, and then they're not going to refinish it like, you know, the same color as the outside of the slide. They're just going to give it back to you, and it's good enough because it's not going to rust because it's stainless. Okay, so if you have a notch in there and it's black or it matches your slide, that's an indicator that it was made post-voluntary upgrade. Okay, so when people are buying complete pistols, and people are like, wow, you need to send them for a voluntary upgrade. Well, they can tell it hasn't been through the upgrade. Another item that was changed out is our trigger. Okay, so this is a pre-voluntary upgrade trigger, that big, thick, ugly looking one. And here's our post-upgrade trigger. Okay, a lot lighter, like the mass. If you put this on a scale, it's going to be a lot lighter than this trigger. So part of the drop safety problem was when you dropped it, the momentum of the trigger, if it was dropped on its back, the heel of the gun, the momentum, because this is such a heavy trigger, could be enough to make our trigger go back and make the pistol go off. So that's how people can tell you, hey, that hasn't been upgraded, just by looking at the pistol on the outside, because of this ugly trigger. All right, so that's our slide. Okay, and there's other things that they did that we're not going to cover here because it's kind of irrelevant. Okay, so my Pro Cut slide here, obviously post upgrade, has our notch. This has been Cerakoted too, so but this is kind of a what yours would look like if it's nitride, and it's got black inside your notch. Okay, that's post voluntary upgrade, and it was never a recall, so let's not confuse it with being a recall because SIG did not recall these pistols. If you wanted to send it in and get the upgrade, they would do it for free. If you didn't, then keep it and shoot it as it is. And then we have my X5 Legion. This is, I want to show you like the cutouts for the mass reduction and our red dots. That's not what we're talking about. Some of these cavities here, though, on pre-upgrade, actually came down over here, and that's fine. You don't even need to send the slide in. It'll still work. As long as there's room for the next component that interacts with that notch, which is our disconnector right here. And our FCU had a disconnector added to it. This little triangle piece, you can see it's shaped just like the notch in our slide. So when our slide is installed, it's over this disconnector just like that. And everything will work perfectly normal. Okay. And for those people that pull their trigger with their FCU not installed and everything, it's not going to go click and bang. Not the ones now. So people are always going like this, and what's wrong with my FCU? It's not firing. Well, it's not going to. Anyway, so with it installed like that, everything works normal. But then when you add a slide that does not have that notch, or the slide with a notch is at a battery, so you basically your slide is slid back, so your notch is like behind the disconnector, which means there's a flat part pushing right against our disconnector. So what that does is it pushes our trigger bar down, as you can see. Okay, and then this leg on our trigger bar right here that goes into the sear housing, which trips our sear, it releases our striker. Well, with it pushed down, it can't trip the sear because it's going to go underneath it, and that's going to give you a dead trigger when you have it all put together. Okay. So that is the most common problem, and just for those people that I'm going to get millions of questions, why is my FCU black? This was a Custom Works FCU, and I just couldn't get over the gold color. It didn't really match anything I had except this, but I'm keeping my US GI one all authentic. Okay, just like it came from the military. When you look through the window, you could always see the gold. I just didn't like it, so I sent a couple of them to FDes Works, Will, and he basically shot them, I call them murdered out. Shot them all graphite black. I think it looks badass. I got a couple of these like this, so if that's something you wanted to take care of, he said he'd have no problems doing that for you, so send him a message and he can take care of that for you. So we have, that's one issue, and then the second issue is a bent trigger bar spring. Okay, so your trigger bar spring here, when people take these apart, a lot of times people are attacking the spring first. They're unhooking it from the chassis part here, that loop that it goes through in our chassis. Getting it off usually isn't a problem. It's putting it back on. That seems to be when people really distort the spring with needle nose pliers, whatever they're using. So on my YouTube, especially as of recently, or the newer videos up top, go down a little ways, and I show quite a few videos of an easy way to remove your trigger bar spring, and your trigger. So on those videos there, I'm basically disconnecting it from up here and then rotating my trigger bar out right off of my spring. It's not twisting or torquing or anything, this spring. So when people are looking at their spring, they're like, well, it looks like it's fine. It's not really bent. If I have the picture still, I'll post it with this video, but it doesn't take much at all to distort this spring and make it not have enough spring tension anymore. And what's happening is it's not resetting the trigger. You can pull the trigger, it'll go off. It just won't have enough to push the trigger forward, pull the trigger bar back, because you can see it's pulling on our spring like this, and then the tension that's going to pull it back, which is going to reset our trigger. Well, if it's distorted, it can't do that because it doesn't have enough strength. Okay, so if that happens, I have aftermarket springs, the +10 ones, which is the more positive reset, on my website, sigguy.com, and I do have OEM springs if you want an OEM spring as well on sigguy.com, as well as all the tools and everything necessary to take this apart, put it all back together. So if you want to really disassemble this whole thing, do a nice thorough cleaning in it, put it all back together, I got all the videos and all the tools to help you do that. So just visit sigguy.com. If you look at the toolkits, there'll be a link there to show you how to use that toolkit. Just like all my other products, I try to include a video showing you how to install that product and what you need to install that product yourself. Okay. So there you have it. That's my video on dead triggers for the 320s. Hopefully you found this video before you pulled all your hair out, if this has actually happened to you. Like I said, I've seen a lot of it lately. So if you're not following me on my YouTube, there should be a subscribe button right down here. If you could smash that baby, I'd really appreciate it. I want to thank every single one of you guys for all the support that I've gotten through the past year. The business has grown tremendously, and I just want it to keep growing. I want to be able to keep helping people. So thank you very much. I can't say it enough. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.